Are we live? Didn't have to wait for the countdown because we have take more time. So that's just jumping right into it would be better. So we doing another variety now. There's a lot of video here. Okay. I'm not even using the live video model tonight because it was kind of hard to switching from chat to you know like watching content because I don't have dual monitor. I used to, but like it doesn't work to a great length, so I give it away to my little brother, which is fine. I mean, dual monitor is not a big deal. I can use my phone as a chat, you know, because that's all the second monitor was really. It's just for chat. Man, it's a bit quiet. Maybe I should put some music on. What the? For example, I built 42. Let's play FR. I'm watching it in a different browser right now, and it's wait what? Wait a minute, why was will you go down here? I just glossed over that. Also, this YouTube is very good. It makes a lot of via chat content. He also play the games. He show up in my chat, and I was like, oh, like I see the CH, which means channel, and I was like, oh, like a fellow VTuber. But that was some time ago. I didn't get in contract with him. But it'd be pretty cool if we can collab because I don't really know any other VTuber that interact with me in chat or like on stream except this person. It's gonna be weird because if I, you know, get to collab with him, that'd be amazing. But it's kind of weird. We're gonna watch this video, but I'm gonna put some music on and it's kind of yap. Yeah, it's just yap a bit. Yeah, that's more like it. By yapping, I mean I'm avoiding the responsibility to stream. Just one that. But yeah, I thought of putting my stream in Discord. I don't have the alert system because sometimes I would stream for like what 30 minutes and it would be like copyright. What copyright? Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Yeah, at least not. I'm not even monetized, man. There we go. Now it's on Discord. Some of my regular viewers is on Discord. Not just a regular viewer, but also a regular chatter. Tomorrow is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, I got like time to prep for next week. This week I kind of improvise and just do things out. You know, just if I want to do it, I do it. That's it. But next week it should be more deliberate, and I should have more time to make some video. Maybe one video a week, not too much. Because making multiple videos per week kind of take away the focus of streaming. I'm not to the point where I can multitask to the, to that point. It takes time to make content. Sometimes it's easier to just record and just talk, which I did, but I didn't edit it yet. It feels bad, so we kept it as a work in progress. Another, you have to write like a script down, and you have to record, and you have to again edit the video. But a lot of post-production, really. The writing part is not that bad. The recording is not that bad. The editing. How do I say this? When I make YouTube content, right? My goal is to just have fun, like no fancy editing. So I try because I play Repo with my friend, and I was like, maybe I should make this a special one. So I edited a little bit of it. Not like it brings lower end views, but it doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me because unedited. By that I mean like not like adding meme into the video. It's much more fun to watch because it's raw, it's deliberate. But adding meme into that, it kind of make it predictable, and I'm not fond of predictability. I would sell it to the black market. I'll contact the sun. Fucking bad. I will sell it to the black market. Seriously, I'm doing better with just content that I don't have to edit down too much and try to like chase algorithm. To be honest, I might have cracked something here. Something that I have been led on falsely for like almost half a decade. I've been doing this for like 3 years, and it's something that I just overlooked. It's like an oversight. I was trying to like appeal to YouTube and appeal to the algorithm by making fancy thumbnail, fancy title. But my roots is not that I'm lazy, then like I wouldn't want to put an effort into my work. It's more like I know I have a skill to do it, but it just doesn't feel authentic. I'm a very experimental person, but also a minimalist. So I want less is more. I think that's my motto for this channel. Less is more. I enjoy watching and making this content that I think would be, well, it would be simple, right? Not too crazy. No fancy editing or nothing like that. Also, this music is it doesn't quite fit. Other music is like copyright. Oh, this song. I'm gonna yap a little bit. I'm gonna yap a little bit. Maybe we'll get more viewers in. There we go. But yeah, I think the good thing about like being yourself and stream with no fancy title and just focus on the moment. Focus on the moment and make videos where you just don't have to worry about editing, because your voice and your sometimes your script is good enough, and you're bound to have someone stumble onto your video, even though it doesn't fit the algorithm, right? It doesn't fit into the search ecosystem, but whatever it's called is EO. As long as it's fun, and they will stay, I believe. So because back then I don't really make like crazy thumbnail. I did do a little bit on Yakuza series, but I don't go overboard. Then I try to appeal to be more professional. We here again. Wait a minute. Chat on Streamlabs, kind of weird. Yes, yeah. We're not gonna watch anything yet because I'm kind of yapping about something. I woke up kind of late from the nap. I actually put like an alarm, but sometimes I would be so tired that I sleep to my alarm. Man, very exciting. Sorry for stuff. No need to be sorry. No need to be sorry. You don't have nothing to be sorry about. I think I should be the one that says sorry because I'm late to this. Okay, what was I talking about earlier? Yeah, we can again. We can here again. You get to see Charnyte again. I mean, that's all you like, and um, I just realized I didn't charge my phone, so I don't have the battery to run the live 2D. I think I'm gonna save up money to get an iPhone, so the live 2D is actually more usable. Either that or getting a new model. Getting a new model, maybe like a half body. I don't know what the point of getting a full body is unless you use it to make memes. Because the current one I'm using is like full body. But I'm only using like half body or like just bust. We come to overnight stream. I don't expect this to be every day because I still have to make video. Sometimes. This also won't be a long stream because, to be honest, I'm kind of tired. I changed my sleep schedule and have to take a nap in the afternoon, or maybe in the evening, and wake up really late. It's kind of tiring. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, making experimental content with less editing and just put it out there, just just let your voice be the main focus. Not the main focus. It's I would say the second focus. The minority, but it's the majority in a way. Letting the topic that you wanna discuss about be the main appeal. Yeah, main appeal. The majority, the first majority. And then your voice added to that. It become anecdote. And that's where people would try to, watch more and stay. No fancy thumbnail, just straight to the point. I think I should just yap on forever and not watch anything. But no, we're gonna watch something. I doing he demon weight for my health taker stuff. Demon weight? What's the demon weight? We might be watching something scary, by the way. Because I don't know. I watch it like sport. I guess. How many secret gun does this game have? This seen it pop up a lot. This new anime sucks though. Incest, that's the anime. I kinda wanna watch this, so we're gonna save it here. Give me a moment. No, not that, that's wrong. Yes, I am. Wait for my health taker. What health taker do you mean, like merchandise? Because the game is free, so I don't know whether you're trying to download that or you're getting it. What the? Oh, you wait for someone? You said health taker, and I was like, what? Health taker stuff. It's like oddly specific. Oh man, I forgot. Every time I do like a evening stream, it's usually after my dinner, and I take medication after dinner. Yeah, after dinner, and it was like just more in the nighttime. But it made me feel sleepy. Well, have you found something sweet to watch? Oh yes, it's this video right here. It's called the island turn. This island turn animal into monster, and already this island looks scary as hell. It looked like skull, like an oni, a demon. I think I'm gonna yap a little bit more. Yeah, we're not gonna watch the video yet. Like that black screen just make it weird. Yeah, we're gonna yap a bit more because I'm checking stuff. And by checking stuff, I mean I'm doing gacha. I thought of doing it on stream on this PC because I have like emulator on, but I feel like the noise would be distracting. Yes, only specific. Maybe I'm dumb, but I lost. I love guy. What? Huh? You gotta make it a bit more cohesive to read. This is hard for me. It's hard for me to follow you. Oh man, the medication is kicking in. This is what happened when you take medication in with an empty stomach. Integrated strategy. What the? Huh? Complete daily mission or participate in event to earn point. But this is new. I'm looking at Charnyte right now. Yes, Charnyte anywhere. You can't find how that where how is Charnyte what? Huh? ADC, can you translate?
You want me to translate something?
Yeah, translate the chat.
Can't yes, anywhere you cannot find hope that's where hell is China. Something about if you can't find any meaning, that is hell, I guess. I don't fucking know.
You don't fucking know. Fair.
I'm
Fair
demon
enough.
tormented in my own house. I guess that's what he meant, yeah. He cannot find hope in his own house, so that's where his hell is.
Oh, I was trying to. At first, I was trying to like understand it like literally. Turns out it's a philosophical debate. That's surprising. Oh yeah, you see the picture by tuning. It's the same restaurant you go to.
I don't I think so.
Yeah, it is. She's also Malaysian, so
Oh, what the fuck?
I know, right? Small
How did
world.
I not know this?
I am demon tormented in my own house. Wow, there's some line right there. Sounds like something you would say in Metal Gear Solid. Like I'm already a demon.
What the fuck?
Small world. We are happy can be lonely. No, I mean like metaphorically speaking, not racially. Well, not racially. I can't say that word. Racially. There you go. And turn back the music. Back on. There we go.
Oh my god.
Yes, Charnyte, I'm in my own way of hell. It called per family house. Family house is your hell. That's like being Asian, like 100%. Oh man, I'm sleepy. You know, I just woke up from a nap. I sat a lot. Alright, let's watch some video.
Have you ever noticed that there is something just a bit unsettling about islands? It almost seems that whenever you have a place in a movie or TV show where things are extremely messed up, that it's always an island.
I remember
Especially if that
here.
messed upness has to do with nature. I mean, just take the hopefully fictional Skull Island as an example. A cozy place, home to a titanic gorilla, giant creepy crawlies, and a lot of other nightmares, usually prehistoric and of the dinosaur kind. Now, it is supposed to exist in the present, yet obviously it isn't really out there. But there is a very real place that is in some ways a lot like a real life Skull Island, and that's Madagascar. But not the current one that likes to move it, but rather Madagascar of the past. And this is kind of a vague comment, as Madagascar has been around for a while to say the least, and has seen strange life emerge throughout its isolated history. But the time that I'm
I thought
specifically talking
really
about is as
they
it
would
was
have like
70
monster
million years ago,
Madagascar
during
in the
late
past, really?
Cretaceous, when in a world known for strange animals, Madagascar still somehow managed to be the Wild Wild West, or in this case, East. Now typically when you take a place and then rewind the clock by tens of millions of years, the land or area starts to look a bit different. Yet miraculously, Madagascar looked a lot like it does today, even all the way back then. being an island separated by hundreds of miles or kilometers of water from mainland Africa. However, it was more southward than presently, and also much more closer to India. In fact, not only were the two neighbors, but not so long beforehand, they'd actually been conjoined for an extremely long amount of time, longer than the gap between us and dinosaurs, to give you an idea. And because of this, many animals were able to colonize Madagascar from India. And with the two separated from the rest of the world, they developed their very own distinct paleofauna, making life just a bit more interesting than normal. But what really cranked the weirdness thermostat up was when Madagascar ditched India and became its own island. And why? Well, because it was then that Madagascar's native life suddenly started to experience the pressure of insular dwarfism and gigantism. Because while Madagascar is a big island, it still ain't big enough for everything. And then when you stack complete isolation on top of this, well, you end up with a very funky place. And it was the kind of place that was a bit like Skull Island, like I mentioned, wherein danger was everywhere, not just sprinkled here and there, as an abundance of life was supported by expansive alluvial plains, broad rivers, and abnormally large amounts of vegetation that took root in drained floodplains. And while it probably wouldn't take you very long to run into one of the island's many predatorial inhabitants, it could have been the weather that actually got you first, as that too was a bit different here. It wasn't necessarily extremely hot or cold, but rather periodically deathly dry, with rock formations suggesting frequent droughts that could spring up, while in general, you also had distinct dry seasons. But on top of a bottle of water, you would also need to bring a floaty, because even in a desert here, you could drown, as it turns out that these dry spells could be rudely interrupted by rapid rain, and lots of it at that, with sediment buildup suggesting flash floods happened a ton.
What the hell? Can you turn on your model? I like to make look at, well, maybe you should change it. You should change it, Charnyte. No, I can't use my live video model like yesterday because my phone is charging right now. Also, that's just weird. It sounds creepy. What are you gonna do to my model?
Ton, and covered wide swathes of land, drowning anything not fast or smart enough to get the heck out of the way. And then if it wasn't Mother Nature trying to get you, it definitely would be the animals. I mean, just take a look at the mascot of the island, the Majungasaurus, an unusually ill-tempered theropod. But don't let it hear you say that, because in this realm, it was king, being the island's largest theropod. And if you were greeted by one, you could expect a 7-meter or 23-foot long unit that weighed over a ton, and in certain situations could even be as big as a Carnotaurus. And if you've seen the movie Dinosaur, you know why this is bad news. However, it wasn't actually its size that set it apart from other theropods, since larger predators were of course found elsewhere. Instead, it was its highly unusual construction, looking almost like someone had mashed together different body parts of animals to create a single dino. For starters, its hands were absolutely tiny, almost like sausages. Though that being said, I know yours aren't, so please reach for that like and subscribe button. Next, its head was fat, short, and squished, while the rest of its body was then long and robust. And then as opposed to its handsies, its legs were absolute chunksters, being ridiculously thick and stout, and collectively making the Majungasaurus hard to miss to say the least, and an oddity among its already strange family, the Abelisaurids. Now, you might be thinking these funny adaptations meant this predator was a bit more harmless than usual, but ironically what they really did was transform this beast into the ultimate giant killer. Because as it turns out, this design is how you kill sauropods. Or at least, that's the hypothesis. You see, many carnivorous theropods sport narrow skulls, which are good at withstanding vertical stress associated with powerful bites, but are bad at dealing with twisting forces, therefore forcing them to rely on numerous bites instead of just one big one. Meanwhile, our friend the Majungasaurus had a totally different strategy, being more of a bite once kind of guy, as its skull was better designed at holding onto struggling prey without needing to let go. Kind of similar to what's seen in modern felids, actually. And the rest of its body backs this one and done hypothesis, as it had bony tendons, a strong back, interlocking ribs, and then of course, those hunkering legs. All great things to have if you want to hold something. But the question is, hold what? And this is where that hypothesis comes in, because there was really only one animal living with it that made these features make sense. And that was sauropods, in this case titanosaurs. To be exact, Rapidosaurus and Vahini. Two not huge, but still respectably sized herbivores that likely dealt with Majungasaurus on the regular. And actually, there were a few more bad omens for these guys, as their potential killer's skull turned out to be enforced by bone mineralized out of skin in certain areas, while its lower jaw was hyperflexible, thus reducing injury chance while wrestling with titans. And to finish the package, even its teeth were a bit off, with the front being thicker than the rest and curved on the front edges, yet straighter in the back, a design which, surprisingly, prevents slicing, but again implies that this hunter wanted to grip prey and subdue them, not cut them up. And lo and behold, paleontologists would eventually find Rapidosaurus remains with numerous Majungasaurus bite marks on them, a sign that on this island, not even the largest animals on Earth were safe.
Cool.
However, before you let out a
Go
big
put
sigh
in
of
like
relief,
a
the Majungasaurus
nature
must have held no
documentary.
interest in smaller things.
This
There
is
is something
fake
you should
cool.
know. So far, all evidence we know of suggests that Majungasaurus was the complete opposite of a picky eater. Seriously. I mean, if it came down to it, it would even eat itself. And actually, Majungasaurus is the only known non-avian dinosaur that paleontologists consider to have had directly confirmed cannibalistic tendencies. As in 2007, researchers stumbled upon not one, but multiple specimens that bore bite marks identical to its own kind, with the size, spacing, and serrations all matching up. What's more is that the specimens range greatly in size and showed intensely deep bite
Yeah, I
marks,
see that
indicating that their
fucking noise
carcasses
in the
were
house
fully defleshed,
randomly.
and meaning that these marks were definitely no love bites, if you get my drift. However, one mystery does remain behind these crime scenes, and that's if who made them were really killers or just scavengers. And in recent years, an explanation put forth is that they were likely similar to Komodo dragons, who when
Komodo
mauling a prey
dragon.
or carcass can get a bit too excited, leading to a really unfortunate individual sometimes getting caught up in the mosh pit, so to speak. And you know, at that point, meat is just meat, at least according to Majungasaurus. Direct quote, by the way. And beyond having to worry about their own, they also had to worry about getting injured, as when they did, an interesting thing would occur. Researchers noted that most specimens of Majungasaurus are perfectly fine, having basically no pathology, meaning injuries. But oddly, when one did have trauma, for example to the tail, then they usually had a lot more injuries as well, leading to the idea that in the Majungasaurus's environment, one injury
Maybe
is equal
they
to
have
many that would
feathers,
cost them
actually
life,
dinosaur are
making them highly
colorful
susceptible to accidents.
in my
And this
theory.
probably wasn't helped by their brains, which even for a
I mean, we
theropod
know the
was
T-Rex
extremely
have
small.
feathers,
And in particular,
and
its
most
populace was
small
small.
dinosaurs
The part of
are,
the brain that helps coordinate
you know,
movements
these
between the eyes
high
and head,
vision lip
meaning that unlike most
back in like
theropods who looked around quickly to spot
million
prey,
years
this
ago,
hunter had to come up with other means of meal
million of
detection.
years ago.
And overall, the brain's shape was actually closer to that of a crocodilian than a bird. However, where it was much closer to birds was in respiration, having possessed air sacs which could have allowed for flow through ventilation, which is a complicated but highly effective mode of breathing that likely did help make up for their lack of noggins. And if these guys don't really sound like your cup of tea, then I would strongly suggest staying away from any floodplain
They could be
or
colorful,
tidal
but
flats
not
spot,
to the
as these
naked human
biomes were
eye.
the preferred habitat,
Kind of like
with most of their
some
fossils
some
coming
crown,
from such areas.
some crown
Unfortunately,
raven,
though, running away from your problems here would
some
likely just
pigeon.
land you into more trouble. Is this
Yeah,
island
color
was
that
made
is
for
only
everything turned
detected
into monsters,
with, you know,
not just the
the
dinosaurs. As thanks to the
species.
island's isolation and reduced size, some creatures, typically limited by their presence, were able to finally take a breather and gain some ground, resulting in more than a few cases of island gigantism. And
This
sadly
is
for our
just a joke.
friends with the
The frog is not
phobia
that
out
big.
there, this extended to a snake, or a giant snake I should say, the Matsoya madagascariensis, or maybe more fittingly named Madagascariensis. As its name suggests, it was a member of the now extinct family Matsoidae, who were a bunch of Gondwanan snakes that greatly varied in size, with some being no more than 1 meter or 3.3 feet long. However, this bottom range definitely did not apply to the Madagascariensis. And on this island, with limited competition from other snakes and carnivorous dinosaurs, it absolutely swelled in size, with an isolated fragment suggesting a length of 26 feet or 8 meters long. And just in
That's
case,
huge.
you need a visual for that, here is what a 26-footer looks like in real life. And at this size, snakes actually held, or at least tied, the Majungasaurus for being the largest predators on the island, at least from a length standpoint, and giving it basically free domain over most areas, where it would have staged ambushes on the misfortunate small dinosaur, mammal, or lizard. Now for better or worse, it wasn't a venomous snake, instead being a constrictor like boas and pythons. However, for worse, it did have a much scarier way of consuming prey than most. You see, studies on its jaws found them to be quite primitive and very rigid. In other words, not well adapted for swallowing prey whole like boas and anacondas do. Therefore, in order to get around this pesky little obstacle, it liked to use its powerful body muscles and insanely sharp teeth to simply bite and rip off edible chunks, eating its prey in a fashion similar to what's seen in certain eels. And worse news yet, this genus seems to have been basically fully terrestrial, whereas most of the large snakes of today are actually semi-aquatic. And then, there was even an additional Matsoidae that also preferred land over water, the Menarana, a much smaller, but still uncomfortably large snake that reached about 8 feet, or 2.4 meters long. Now, the aptitude
Snakes
for
are fucking
land
weird.
of these large predators
They're
may
big,
give you the
they're
false
slimy,
impression that fresh water was
they just
actually
crawl
a
on the
safe bet to hang
ground.
around in prehistoric Madagascar. Yet honestly, nowhere would be a good resting spot in this deranged island. If yet another
Oh
predator
my
held
God,
sway over fresh
Charnyte.
water, crocs. Specifically,
Big
the
noodle.
Mahajungasuchus. Now, this animal sure would have looked a bit like modern crocodiles, but it was not one. And actually, it wasn't even that related to the Crocodylus genus, having instead been a part of the Notosuchia, a group of crocodilomorphs known for usually being terrestrial, having erect limbs and highly derived members, with many possessing odd traits, such as mammal-like teeth, fleshy cheeks, pig-like snouts, and mouths that resemble that of a pug, or in some cases, ducks. But the Mahajungasuchus did not have any of these strange features, but it was very derived in its own way, having broken from the trend of terrestrial life and seemingly adapted for a semi-aquatic one, making it even more similar to modern-day crocs through convergent evolution. And compared to other Notosuchians, it was further differentiated by its lethality, for nearly no others came close to its size or voraciousness, with the largest specimens indicating a max length of 5 meters or just over 16
That's
feet.
big. Jesus.
So, definitely big enough to snag any human-sized prey. And they did so with highly compact, yet robust jaws that were filled with xiphodont teeth, meaning laterally compressed and serrated, which are features normally
That's
seen in
big
large
ass teeth.
theropods,
Jesus.
just to give you an idea of how much it would suck to be bitten by them. And to match their offense, these hunters also had impressive defense, sporting bony pits or osteoderms that were unusually deep, suggesting that in life, these plates would have been wide and thick, providing ample protection from run-ins with any dinosaurs or competitor. And this combination of offense and defense clearly worked, since fossil remains show that Mahajungasuchus was highly prevalent in the water systems, where it was joined by, of course, predatory fish, such as the so-called saber-toothed herring, Encetus, and gars that were on par with the largest known ones of today. So obviously, having these fish and reptilians around is not great news for any time travelers on the island. However, not all crocs would be out to get ya, for it was also here that you'd actually find not only a friendly croc, but an absolutely adorable one too, the Simasuchus. In short, this crocodilomorph is what you'd get if you mix a small croc and a pug together, resulting in a short, compact body that was quite stout like a bulldog's, while its face resembled that of a pug too, being ridiculously short and looking like it got squished. It was also closer to being a pug in size than most other animals, with adults not even reaching lengths greater than 0.75 meters or 2.5 feet. Yet, it was not its mini size or cuteness that ultimately drew paleontologists in, but rather its very strange teeth, as they were shaped like a maple leaf. The design not really great for cutting or processing meat, but pretty darn good for shearing leaves. And of all the living animals on Earth today, its closest twin when it comes to dentition is the herbivorous iguana, adding some indirect support that Simasuchus had a taste for leaves. Additionally, its odd smushed face makes it even less likely that it was out there causing terror in Madagascar. And for now, the majority of researchers consider it to have been a vegetarian, while a small handful maintain that it was omnivorous, at most. Whatever was the case though, this was one face I wouldn't have minded seeing in Cretaceous Madagascar. And it would also be pretty easy to spot them from a distance,
This is
because
like
besides their odd appearance, they also had a
like
strange
the
way of
big
getting around,
picky
as they were, like most
pygmy
Notosuchians,
hippo in
covered in
Thailand.
armor, which in their case was arranged
Oh.
in a highly inflexible manner, and thus restricting movement, and forcing them to run in a funny, not so efficient style. However, Simasuchus may have had one trick up its sleeve to offset this clunkiness, and that was burrowing. Now, it's not confirmed, but some researchers claim that his funny-looking face may have acted as some sort of biological
Majority of
shield,
used
allowing
to
it
be
burrow and
weaker
hide from
before
various
the
threats,
asteroid, you
plus
know.
dig for food.
I wouldn't know. I
Sadly,
wasn't
though,
there.
Despite this possible, incredibly powerful tool, I still worry that this cute exception to Madagascar
Why
was
were
still
you
a regular
there?
target for predators,
And
especially
now I'm
since it
human. I
wasn't
just
just giant
wondered what
cannibals, crocs, and snakes
20
lurking
years
around.
ago.
There were also plenty of smaller killers too,
What the
one
hell,
of which was
man?
something you
Your
don't typically
problem.
expect to be scary. A frog,
Shut up.
the Beelzebufo. Now, frogs are generally not the most interesting of extinct
That's so
animals,
mean.
but I assure you, Beelzebufo very much was.
Nah, he's not.
I mean, there's a reason it's been
gaslight
given the
me.
nickname the Frog from Hell. And part of that reason is
True.
because it was an absolute
I'm the
jokester,
one who's
with original
gaslighting.
estimates painting adults to be more than 10 pounds
At least
or
like saying
4.5
I'm the
kilos,
problem here.
and measuring 42.5 centimeters or 16.7 inches across, making it more comparable to small dogs than other frogs. Additionally, this gave it the crown as the biggest frog ever
They were
discovered,
just taking under
about
the
30%
body
larger than the
on
largest
the
frog on the planet
after
today, the Goliath frog.
apocalypse of
Now, I
them.
will say, in more recent times, these original estimates have been criticized and more conservative numbers
Maybe
been
just
put
gravity
forth,
is also
suggesting a real
the
length of
fact
around
that
9.1
they
inches
are
or
that big.
23.2 centimeters, which is similar to an African bullfrog. But here's the peculiar thing. Even if this was the case,
But you know,
it doesn't change
evolution
the fact that
decided to
largest known
shrunk
specimens
all
still have
sizes
unsutured skulls,
to
a
match the
sign
climate.
that they weren't even done growing, leading some paleontologists to assert that monstrous individuals are out there, just waiting to be found. And trust me, it wouldn't have just been their plumpness that would have shocked you.
They
Because if you
can.
got too close to one, you'd also find out about their more, insidious traits, including a gargantuan mouth. You see, all frogs have relatively flexible, wide mouths. Yet Beelzebufo, he took it to a whole nother level. So much so that given their already unusual sizes, they might have even been able to prey on the once rulers of Earth, dinosaurs. At least small ones like baby theropods and sauropods. And such a voracious appetite was further reflected by their actual bite, as despite being many times smaller than humans, Beelzebufo could actually muster up a stronger bite force, with reconstructions estimating forces as high as 2,200 newtons, which is 70 times more powerful than the bite seen in modern large frogs. And just to really put this into perspective, most humans don't even crack 500, putting the Beelzebufo more on par with literal wolves and female tigers. And just when it seemed they couldn't get any meaner, it turns out that this frog also sported devilish horns, and a row of plate-like armor which ran down its back, which all led to the assumption that it truly was designed to be anti-dinosaur. So yeah, even the frogs in Madagascar were best to be avoided. And between them and every other monstrosity I mentioned, you'd expect that survival here was quite hard. And ultimately it was, which is why it's quite surprising that it's also here that an unlikely group who typically lived in the shadows were thriving. Mammals. And not only were they thriving, our ancient ancestors
shrink due
seem to have
to
dipped all their feet
gravity,
into that
pressure
good old
on their limbs.
gigantism. Because of the three
It's kind of
genera
like
known to
deep
the
sea
island,
creature
those
then.
being the
They are very
Ammalotherium,
big.
Levanify,
But that's a different
and
story.
Ventana. Two,
Because they are
are
in like
literally
the body
among
of water.
the top 5 largest Mesozoic mammals.
But these
we know
things
of.
they
But
live on
don't
land.
hold your breath, because they still were quite small by today's standards. And the largest of the bunch, Ventana, was only 19 pounds or 8.7 kilos, which is, coincidentally, the same size as the largest mammalian carnivore in Madagascar today, the fossa. But Ventana was no predator, sporting teeth designed for herbivorous lifestyle, consisting of roots, seeds, twigs, and nut-like fruits.
And Godzilla
Super
is
interesting.
had a
Ventana
back
did
pain
make up
in
for this by
series,
having
so
a
I can
secret
feel it.
superpower.
Okay, that's a good show.
Smell. This guy was the king of schnozzes, emperor of noses,
Godzilla is
and
cool though.
ruler of sniffing. And I say this
You just
because
saying like
literally
nuclear in the
14%
bottom
of
of the
brain
sea and
volume
it just
was
woke up.
dedicated to olfactory bulbs,
Crazy.
the area responsible for smelling. Which just to show how crazy that is, the region in our brain constitutes a measly 0.01%, and in dogs, 0.31%, so not much better. And why it had such power dedicated to smelling is unknown. Yet on an island filled with lots of threats, I'm sure it was useful. And the contemporary Adelatherium also had its uniqueness too, though not in the smell department, rather in its foramen. For those who don't know, foramen is an opening or gap that allows for the passage of nerves, arteries, veins, and other soft tissue structures, from one body part to another. And the more one animal has, then more likely it is the case that they have a pretty specialized system somewhere. And in the case of the Adelatherium, we don't know exactly what this was, but we do know it had the second highest amount of foramen of any known mammal ever, meaning that hidden in its body was one crazily complex system, which presumably was needed in such an environment. And hopefully, one day we will know exactly what its secret power was. But what we don't have to wait on is knowledge regarding another resident of this island, who actually was probably one of our distant relatives' top worry, the theropod Masiacosaurus. Like the Majungasaurus, this dinosaur is believed to have been a part of the clade Ceratosauria. Though unlike the former, it wasn't an abelisaur, rather a noasaurid, which did actually make it closely related, though clearly not enough to get those big genes, as it was rather small for a theropod, reaching only 2.1 meters or 6.9 feet in length, while only weighing as much as a Nile monitor lizard, so about 44 pounds or 20 kilos. And this might not seem that much, but when you stack one of these guys next to any of Madagascar's prehistoric mammals, it suddenly seems quite daunting, and we know through its teeth that it definitely liked meat, which also happened to be very odd. Like you would expect in a carnivorous theropod, the majority were serrated and laterally compressed. But then at the front of its mouth, it had 4 teeth that were just super off, protruding out of the mouth and being both spoon-shaped and hooked. And such a strange design has given birth to a lot of hypotheses on their purpose, with one of the more prominent ones being that they help to grip food, especially smaller food, leading to the idea that small invertebrates, vertebrates, and maybe even fruits were all possible food choices, which doesn't really tell us much. But such an
Yeah, their
adaptation
body-
would make sense on
body's
islands
just like
susceptible to hectic
blobfish.
weather, and where resources could dwindle.
They become
And
they become
actually,
this
the
bigger
Psychosaurus has
corpse
shown
when
to
they
indulge
get
the
bring onto
volatility of the
the
island's climate
surface.
through other means, namely its growth.
Compared to their, you know,
By sheer
the body in the
coincidence,
water.
the Psychosaurus had once been subjected to a bone growth study due to the large amount of fossils, which strangely found that despite being quite small, it also grew very slow, taking about 10 years to reach the size of a large dog, leading to the conclusion that it evolved a slow growth rate in order to minimize nutritional investment in a harsh ecosystem. Yet, while Cretaceous Madagascar could become a desert nightmare, it wasn't a lack of water which doomed its inhabitants in the end.
This-
Instead, like the rest of the
Oh,
world,
check
this one-of-a-kind
this job
ecosystem
person.
was erased 66 million years ago
Yes,
during the
it's
KT extinction
blobfish.
event. And despite being far from the impact site, plus being walled off by mainland Africa, we know for a fact that things got really bad there on that day, as none of the mammals on the island today have lineages that date back to the Mesozoic, heavily implying that the entire island got a factory reset. And who knows, maybe that was for the best. Thanks for watching, and until next time, on Extinct Zoo.
That was a good video. I expect a little bit more. These are not exactly the monster that I was expecting. These are just... I would say Australia is worse. Monster with treasures with our life. Oh, Curious Archive. I love this channel. Let's switch things up a bit.
For as long as I can remember, I've had this belief that I need you to hear me out on. If I came face to face with a monster, or even a regular wild animal, there's a part of me that thinks I could reach out my hand and they would understand not to bite. We would lock eyes and instantly communicate mutual respect. They would know me. Okay, and to be clear, I recognize this is insane. 99% of me is aware that that animal's snout is not trying to sniff out friendship. But the 1% of me that believes I am an inherent beast whisperer is a corner of my soul that reason cannot touch. And it would be fine if this was just a me thing, but across storytelling and history is evidence that in the pit of the human heart is the conviction one can intrinsically know the nature of a beast. And I think it's beautiful, and I think it's terrible, and I think we need to get to the bottom of it.
Self-awareness. What does that mean? Why am I self-aware?
You are probably conscious. Your brain just processed the word you and went, hee hee, that's me. Other humans are also probably
That's
conscious.
me.
They can, seemingly, do the same thing. But is this guy conscious? Let's ask. Harder to say. Obviously, animals are aware enough to eat and move and reproduce, but are they self-aware? As in, aware that they exist as a distinct unit of sentience? Is this an existentiality that they ponder? We aren't certain. We can't ask them.
the
But
hell,
we need
Mark?
at least a
You
rough
paper?
idea to have a hope of understanding their depths. One possible method of testing if animals have a conception of self is to see if they recognize themselves in a
Blobfish,
mirror.
actually
Lots of species see their
cute
reflection
being
and go,
down in deep sea.
how do you know my food? But some animals do genuinely seem to understand they're seeing themselves. If you put a mark on them, they'll look in the mirror and try and scrub it off. And that sure seems like self-awareness, and some pretty unexpected candidates like giant manta rays, ghost crabs, and ants, really ants, have all passed this test. And failure doesn't necessarily preclude cognizance. Dogs fail pretty consistently, but remember, canines rely more on smell than sight, and studies suggest dogs can recognize their own scent. They process you and go, hee hee, that's me. There's still obviously a lot of unknowns to cover with non-human intelligence. Indeed, these self-awareness tests might seem kind of inexact, but trust me, they're downright revolutionary next to many archaic worldviews of the minds of beasts. Descartes believed wild animals were physical bodies that lacked consciousness altogether, and if a creature made a sound of discomfort, it was a mere mechanical reaction, like air escaping a tire. Medieval European bestiaries weren't much better. Species were so poorly understood, they were lumped in with full-on mythical monsters, which is why there's still some slippage with the word beast between real animals and imagined ones. But even in these early bestiaries, you see a growing desire for understanding and alliances. One account says if you distract a tiger with a mirror, weird coincidence there, you can steal their cub and raise it as your ally. Anyone who actually tried this presumably got eaten, but such tales reflect a larger human instinct that with the right tricks or training, you can control the mind of a beast, ally with the monstrous, an idea that's never really gone away. And I don't know that we have to get too philosophical to determine why this trope is so prevalent. The idea of riding on a bear or like a dragon is, I mean, it's cool as f. Across storytelling, characters have been allying themselves with wild animals and fantastical beasts for quite some time, because as an abstract
squishy
concept,
fish,
it
they're
totally
cute.
rules. Hollywood
Both
has been
are
selling this
beans.
idea for over a century. There's an argument to be made the highest grossing films of all time rest in no small part upon this fantasy. And as a fantasy, it's great, but the reality of trying to control a beast is quite different. Over 72 people were mauled by animals during the production of the film Roar. It's kind of amazing it was only 72. A non-exhaustive list from Wikipedia says filming of Roar involved over 100 lions, 26 tigers, 9 panthers, 10 cougars, 2 jaguars, 4 leopards, 2 elephants, 4 geese, 7 flamingos, and a marabou stork. Reportedly, the only animal turned down for filming was a hippo for being too dangerous, because the rest of this cacophony of wildlife were of course perfectly safe. These animals, though largely untrained, were supposed to be the film's co-stars, the creators showing a remarkable amount of faith that they could, in effect, reach out their hands and nature would fall in line. Deranged as this might sound, Roar is far from the only production that operated under such assumptions. Since the days of old Hollywood, people have been sold on and have been selling the idea that an animal's mind is predictable and easily controlled. Bedtime for Bonzo implies Bonzo can be told it's bedtime. This is hubris. The misplaced confidence that animal instincts can be scheduled around script changes or a director yelling cut is the grim connective tissue of Jordan Peele's deeply meta horror film Nope.
Oh my
In the
God.
film, after a large, possibly extraterrestrial predator is spotted flying in the outskirts of LA County, multiple
There's
characters who
more
have experience
stuff
working
happening
with
in
animals in the
Digisanji.
film industry believe they
Oh, you
can
saw the
understand creature's
notification or what,
behavior well enough
Peter?
to film it or even
Just
tame
on
it
Twitter. You
and
you
make
seen
a
it before?
profit.
No, I saw Rima even start making a stream about it. I didn't see it on Twitter.
Nope is a film fascinated
So if you
with
got
the
link, be
age-old
sure to
Hollywood assumption that
send
a
it to
force
me.
of nature can be
I'm
trotted
interested.
out, exploited, and then put back in its
I'll
pen without
I'll
ever
try to
becoming unpredictable.
summarize that.
Throughout the film, multiple characters assert that though the predator may be dangerous, they understand how it thinks. They have a special bond with it. They know how to speak its language. Yet the voice of nature has never been easy to translate. The most advanced animal language we've ever decoded might genuinely be that of prairie dogs. Analysis of their calls suggests they not only have different words for domestic dogs and coyotes and humans, but even more unique terms to describe what color shirt an approaching human might be wearing. This system of nouns and adjectives is more advanced than any language of primates or dolphins or elephants that we've ever been able to crack, but as the head of the prairie dog experiment, Kon Slobodchikov himself noted, that doesn't mean those animals' languages
They-
are actually less advanced. We
They have
just
terminated
can't
the one of the talents contract, not the one that you think it is.
What's that? Read
Okay,
this
no,
week.
it's the one that made like funny jokes, and then for some reason people got offended. It's funny jokes, but like not like not like bad jokes. But they got terminated because of that.
That's dumb.
Yeah, and then you look at Niji-sanji's whole company, and then and then there's a whole lot more people to terminate instead of that one.
You seen one of them? Like I don't know. I watched one of them, and they used to be. Oh, their past used to be. I don't know. Like I can't put into words. Twisty Delulu first stream after being terminated by Nijisanji. Twisty. Twisty, Nasago. Racist, sexist, transphobic, ATC. What?
What?
That's a different news? Twisty.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's Twisty?
Oh yeah, it's Twisty. It's okay. Yeah, that's jokes, by the way.
Oh, okay. I thought it was serious.
Also, she also exposed one of the Niji-sanji talents. I think that's also a factor that she got terminated. Oh my god.
Okay.
Okay.
No greeting other than hello, because despite being a cat, I'm not a VTuber. I'm not a VTuber, that's all I have to say. So yesterday, I said I'm retiring, which is true. I am retiring. I feel like me, as a cat, and a not VTuber, not streamer, you know, if you're retired, you don't stream, right? That's the gist of it, okay? However, this channel, Daluru Diarrhea, will become fully ASMR channel, fully ASMR, nothing but ASMR, okay? And when I say ASMR, Kriva, close your ears, I mean 24/7, all day, every day. It's just gonna be little sister cleans your ears. Okay, and also I will do a few skips, like scripted roleplay. I know it's been a while. I think I started this channel like 2 years ago. I feel bad because I did get rid of all my videos. I will re-record those and re-upload those. So I'm not gonna be streaming much for a while. Well, I'm not gonna stream at all. I'm not sure
be right
when
back.
I'm gonna stream
Okay.
ASMR, but and also the Lulu Diarrhea, as you know it, will be dying. I saw someone say something kind of funny. Just rebrand and like ignore everything. And I think it is gonna come off like that. I think it will
Dang,
come
it's
off
so
like
unfair.
that. That's
I'm
not
glad
my
you're not the
intention.
VTuber,
Okay,
so
this has been
I
something
I
I've
actually
been working on
applied
for a
to
very, very
Niji
long
Sanji
time.
like
So
twice.
it's
I
just
think.
kind of unfortunate that
And I was
things
like, maybe
happen
they'll accept
the
me
way
and maybe they
have,
won't.
I guess is the best way.
But I'm glad
to
that
say
they
it.
did
It's not
because
like I will be
otherwise
like, hey
I feel like
guys,
I'm gonna
you
get
know, I did
exposed in
a lot of
a
shitty stuff.
shitty
But
work
now it
environment.
happened. So goodbye. That wasn't really the goal, and I'm sorry if it comes off like that. I guess there's
I'm back,
only so
sir.
much you can control. Here we have is very big. My daughter. This is my daughter, Rurutan. Okay, and I have given her the very important job of taking over for me because you know my hair is going white. I'm quite old. I'm kind of retiring. I'm too old for a job like this. Rurutan will be in charge of streaming. Hi. Yeah, you missed the pregnancy arc. This is not Rurutan's final form.
You
That
missed
is not
the
her final
pregnancy
form.
arc.
She will be reborn at some point
The
in the future.
pregnancy arc.
Okay, let's see. Racist, sexist.
I'm gonna come inside of you, kitten. And she's like,
What?
yes, daddy. And
Okay,
yeah,
I'm
it's
just
been
saying.
Twitter's
every time I
useless,
stream,
but
it's
just to like,
basically me talking to Epic.
It's
Who
fine.
didn't die too
Anyone that
long,
got
which is
fired
bad,
from
by the
Nissan
way.
is a good thing because they don't have to
Very
work there
much
anymore.
Okay, okay, okay.
I think it's much like you get more fans by going to Nijisanji and then get terminated, and that become a
You
news.
get more fan if you get terminated. That's the
Yeah.
that's the best part.
Yeah, pretty much.
If I go to into Nisanji, I know what I'm gonna do.
What are you gonna do?
Expose everybody and then quit. I'll be like the snake in the whole group of Nisanji. And then started exploding everyone.
So you're like a double agent.
Something like that. I'll hold information, wait like months, and then release them.
Like in Google Doc.
Yes. Pretty sure there's an NDA, but like
You're gonna go to jail for that. You're gonna die for the best cause.
if if there was like if I was ever threatened, this information would be excellent.
Expose the managers. And I think that yeah, not just the talent, but also the managers. I think that would be fitting. Or maybe you become their manager and then expose them. The NDA would be better that way. And not worse. I mean, there's a lot of Chinese fan for Nisanchi.
That's the only fan I have.
Neil
And
Paimon VA is
that's
here.
besides English, there's more Nijisanji members than English, so I don't know how bad Japanese are, but they're
Japanese are
more
doing
popular.
alright, I think.
Yeah,
Don't lock us up! Let us out! Okay, don't panic. Paimon heard that dreams tell us what we need by showing us the opposite. So, if you had a nightmare, maybe all you need is something to cheer you up. Come on, Paimon will treat you to something yummy. Let us out!
What is up, my dude?
Nah, I'm just saying. I'm just like, man. Become the manager if can have the VTuber, maybe I'll do it. No, I don't think I need a manager. That means I have to pay you. I don't want to pay anyone.
I should become a manager, and you have to pay me.
Yeah, no. The best I can give you
Come
is like Google
on.
gift card. That's it. You're not gonna get paid in
I need those
cash.
gift card, bro.
You're gonna take it. Crazy. But still have Duolingo now. What do you mean Duolingo? That has nothing to do with manager. It's a language learning app.
Decode them. It's an appealing fantasy that the smartest animals would communicate the way we do. Indeed, when animal languages don't match our own, it's often taken as proof of their unintelligence. In the wild, chimps might use upwards of 400 word-like vocal sequences, and through synactical combinations, it's possible their vocabulary is far greater, but since the structure is difficult to translate, more effort has been put into trying to teach chimps our language, and their shortcomings with human speech are how we tend to measure their intellect.
By the age of 6, Vicky's spoken vocabulary consisted of 7 words.
It is certainly true that chimps and gorillas have struggled more with learning sign language than some sensationalized accounts suggest. However, I think correlating an animal's ability to commune in human language and their relative intelligence is prone to bias.
How are you feeling about your audition? Oh.
Alex was an African gray parrot who has been called the smartest animal ever
Japanese
studied.
company.
So
Japanese
we'll unpack
need
that
to
later. It's been argued
write
that Alex
accused
is
in
the only
Japanese.
animal on record who has ever asked an
Oh, that's what you
existential
mean by
question.
Duolingo.
After being taught primary colors, he pondered
In order
his
to
reflection and asked,
expose them, you
color,
need
and
to
seemed
understand
satisfied
Japanese.
to learn his feathers were gray, and that is
And sue them.
incredible. I am not trying to downplay.
I'm gonna
the
tell you,
ability of
don't.
parrots,
I'm not
but all
encourage
sorts of
this
recordings
kind of
show them
behavior
asking
on this
similar
channel.
remarkable
I'm just gonna say
questions.
that in case I got sued.
These are keys. What's that made of?
Many bird species are much more intelligent than we give them credit for, but I do think it's worth flagging the fact that the one animal we've managed to record asking an existential question is an animal that can mimic human speech. Studies have claimed apes have never asked any question, but really all we can say for certain is that they've never asked a question in our language. Likewise, after years of training, elephants have only been able to say around 5 words. But they and other animals don't necessarily have the right physical structures to speak our language, and more fundamentally, they don't necessarily want to. We think elephants communicate ideas with a combination of movements, touch, and infrasound rumbles that humans can't hear, and even give themselves individual names. Yes, elephants, like apes, have been largely unable to speak human, but we have been largely unable to speak elephant. Assuming that a species' limited understanding of human linguistics beyond simple commands is the sign of a basic, predictable mind is often not only mistaken, but deadly. There are countless horror stories of animals who were supposedly happy to follow the orders of their trainer until they unexpectedly turned on their human counterpart. I think such stories are often unfairly held up as proof of the animal's lack of intelligence, that at the end of the day their minds run on savage instinct, not intellect. But many of the species historically made to perform in beast tamer theaters have remarkable capacity for in-species communication, but commands aren't the same thing as communication. Even if you can condition an animal to respond to a gesture, that doesn't mean the animal understands or likes you. If you got grabbed by like a group of intelligent octopuses and they taught you to do tricks for their amusement in a tiny enclosure with no enrichment, would you consider them friends? Would they understand you? And if one swam close enough, how polite would you be? And yet, despite this thought experiment, I can't deny there's still a part of me that wants to believe that a mighty beast could be a friend, could have their violent potential tamed. As much as people have laughed, myself included, about how in the Jurassic World films, sticking out your hand can apparently calm even an untrained dinosaur, a little bit of belief flares up in my soul every time I see it.
Next time
Because it's a hand gesture
I go to that place again,
recognize, a
Hotbird,
universal symbol
I'm gonna
of
try to
reaching out
buy
that in my mind
the
transcends verbal
least
language.
spiciest, as
Even
in
though I'm aware there is no way another
the one that
species
has
would just
that's not as
inherently
spicy. I
know
want to
what such
try
a
how bad
gesture
it is,
supposed
how
to
how
mean.
how
It
how
takes a
tolerable
kind
it
of
is.
mad faith to believe that a predator's instincts could be overcome with a wave of the hand. But sometimes,
I mean,
mad faith
that
is all
implied that
it
you
takes.
always order getting the
The
spicy
first
one.
time I ever saw a
Yeah,
trailer
of
for the
course.
film
I bought
Life of
Two
Pi,
Reaper
in which a boy is
before.
stranded at sea with
Wow.
a tiger, a man sitting next to middle school me
Yeah.
said something I've genuinely never forgotten. That
That's
is the
exactly what
stupidest
it
I've ever
means. I never
seen.
bought
Why doesn't he just
the
kill
one
the
that's not as
tiger?
spicy.
So
That's
first
not
off,
spicy.
I'm still not sure how this dude thought a starving, unarmed boy could kill one of the deadliest predators on four legs. And second off, though I'd at that point not read the novel by Jan Martel, I
It's
was
just really
already
good.
vaguely
Okay, I
aware
love
the tiger
I love
is
spicy food.
obviously kind of a metaphor.
I'm
That second
Malaysian.
point is actually worth
Malaysian.
unpacking
Wow.
further. Because regardless of how literally you choose to interpret its central feline, Life of Pi genuinely does have a fair bit to say about non-metaphorical human-animal relationships.
Animals do not think like we do.
Wait, I have a question.
In both the film
Yeah.
and the novel, Pi's father is a zookeeper.
The person who responded me with their malatang food.
Yeah. What
Do
about
they
them?
check this server often? Because
Yeah.
because they responded to my picture. Or their picture.
Well, maybe. Maybe. I mean, she's a bit older than me, but she's going to like a
Like
college.
how
Maybe it could be the same college that you went to. Honestly,
no way.
yeah. No
No,
shot,
no,
right?
I no shot. There's no way.
I don't know. I just know
I
that
don't believe that for a second.
not gonna like expose you or like blackmail you, but like I think even though it's not the same university or the college, I think you go to the same area, like the region of the country,
Hmm.
because you go to the capital, right, to study. We all hate the Indonesian. Wow, being arrested in the chat.
Is that a slow-mo?
Yeah,
Oh my god. Base.
base.
Holy shit, slow-mo.
No hesitation at all.
Where did that came from?
I don't know. We aren't even like talking about Malaysian. Not Malaysian, Indonesian. We're talking about a Malaysian.
Is it the video? That's not Indonesian. That's Indian.
That's Indian.
Keeper who takes a cautious and rationalist approach when it comes to connecting.
So out of nowhere, man.
I, a thrice converted, deeply religious individual, cannot help but hold a loftier view of the zoo's denizens. That is not to say that after unthinkable tragedy strands him in close quarters with a tiger, he's entirely naive
you're
about
funny,
the dangers the
Mustafa.
animal poses, but as the days turn into months, it is
Keep being
impossible for
racist.
such a boy
Makes me
not to
laugh.
attach emotional and spiritual significance to their relationship. Part of what makes Life of Pi such an effective
You know,
narrative
people
is
are
its
okay.
ambiguity.
I have to
It
say
is
something.
not clear if the
People are like very weak now with how they take jokes. For some reason, even the slightest dark joke, they're like, "What the hell? You cannot say that."
Oh, you mean like
Bro.
people that get offended by the word clanker, the crony call CC?
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that word though.
Where's an audience, man? They're like, connecting these dots, and I was like, oh, in our culture, this is like a passive aggressive, like racism, like enablers. Enableist or something.
People are so weak at taking jokes, bro. It's
Yeah,
so bad.
at least it's like, you know, someone that actually died. Yeah, those would be bad joke. But like, what
Oh yeah.
if it's after a tragedy? Then yeah, it's bad. You can get offended by it, but it's like just a vaguely like reminder, just reference that is a bit edgy and cynical. It's just a joke. If you can't take it, then why are you bothered being on the internet?
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I'm sorry. Nah, you're cool. You're
It's
base.
fine. You make a solid point.
Yeah. I don't think I will get any Indonesian fan base anytime soon because of you, because what you said. But it's fine. Yeah, I hate when people do it.
Tiger has any reciprocal connection to
For a
Pi,
bit.
its thoughts remaining
Okay.
truly opaque.
When you look into his eyes, you are seeing your own emotions reflected back at you. Nothing else.
Pi does, for the sake of survival, have to train the tiger, but again, is that communication? Does he ever truly manage to speak to it? Many of us will never be in a situation where our lives depend on negotiating an uneasy partnership with a real flesh and blood creature.
Dang, I'm
More
sorry,
than
Sha.
perhaps any time since the dawn of animal domestication, a greater degree of
Yeah,
separation
just don't say a
exists
thing like
between
that out
the
of the blue.
average human and the average animal. And in contrast to past eras of Hollywood, at almost no point in Life of Pi was a real tiger on set with the actors, which, for safety reasons, to be clear, was a very smart move. A digital puppet of an animal can of course hit the marks we expect with a human written script far more easily than the real thing. Likewise, I can easily bond with horses in video games. They respond to my commands, whinny clearly to show their emotions, but while I've always very quickly gotten attached to virtual equines, I've never been able to connect so well to real horses. They bite and kick and instinctively know I'm not in charge, delivering huge blows of reality to my beast whisperer fantasy. It's easy to love a creature coded to be on its best behavior. It's harder when they're actually autonomous. The paradox of the griffin Trico from the game The Last Guardian is that someone programmed that animal to be an asshole. They could have made Trico perfectly behaved. Indeed, for a game all about the emotional bond between the player's character and Trico, you'd think they would have, but they didn't. And I think that's significant. The game follows the story of a young boy and griffin both trying to escape a perilous valley, and like Life of Pi, the relation between human and predator is extremely tenuous. Trico will not listen to your commands with consistency and will violently lash out at unexpected times, and yet you don't have much choice but to work together. The only way out is through this partnership, and if you keep pushing through the frustration and fear, you'll form a truly meaningful... Well, I can't definitively say what you form. On my end, I felt more connected to this animal than any other digital creature. Its realistic unpredictability making the ultimate partnership all the more meaningful, but I know some players still didn't trust Trico, all the way up until the credits rolled. And should you? Again, like Pi and his tiger, it's not entirely clear in narrative how much the creature actually cares for the boy. By the end, it certainly seems like Trico feels the bond too, like there's been a genuine connection, but that might also be the boy's own reflected emotions, if not the player's. I wanted to believe that I understood this beast that I went through so much simulated hardship with. That doesn't mean I ever truly did. Where is the line of separation between a transactional human-animal relationship and a sincere emotional connection? Does Yoshi from Super Mario care about his writer? Does his writer care about him? Hear me out on this. Yoshi is ostensibly among the most famous video game creature allies of all time, and yet his in-universe status as a creature is fundamentally ambiguous. In some games, Yoshi can talk. He also presumably has a driver's license, and can even ride a horse, which feels deeply wrong in ways I can't fully justify. But in other games, Yoshi appears mindlessly obedient, staying silent even if you abandon him to die to save yourself. Is this a willing sacrifice on Yoshi's part? Or is it a heinous crime? To be clear, I'm not trying to push some conspiracy that famous video game mascot Mario is secretly evil, but thinking abstractly, is the slaying of a Yoshi like capital murder? Because in a survival situation, most courts would be lenient if you had to sacrifice a horse. They would be less lenient if you sacrificed a person. But is Yoshi a person? Or does his occasional inability to object to being slaughtered like a beast make him a beast? Whether or not an animal is considered worthy of protection often comes down
Maybe a VTuber. My manager only can be
Whoever
Elon
harnessed
Musk.
by the horse that
Only
achieved
he I
recognition
respect,
for
love
being
him.
able to understand when his owner asked him math equations and could
Now,
seemingly
I have to
even
fucking
solve them.
disagree. That guy is an
After
asshole.
the life of Fortune came to an end once it was discovered he was actually reading the
I'm gonna get banned on
microaggressions of
Twitter
people
for
asking
saying
the
this, but
questions,
nah.
noticing subtle changes
I don't
in
trust
demeanor
rich
upon reaching
people.
the right answer.
If you
But
trust him
that
as a
simple
manager, all he
seemed
does is gonna
intelligence, just
try to make the most money out of you.
found valuable.
He's gonna
Later,
scam you
Hans was
for the
likely
fucking rest of
slaughtered
your
and
life.
eaten due to the meat shortage of World War I. Not being perceived as communicative often means not being perceived as needing rights. A reoccurring argument I've seen when it comes to the relative value of animals is that
Yeah,
while
he's
some
brilliant. No, he's
species
just
might be
good at
capable
making
of
money.
limited
He's not
symbolic
that,
communication,
like,
genuine language is something
cringe,
unique to
man.
humans, and it is what truly elevates us. And all cards on the table, I simply do not buy this. For one, recent statistical studies suggest whale communications have a grammatical structure very close to complex human sentences, that these are social creatures with a capacity for capital L language, but more fundamentally, okay, say that it's true. Say that despite all evidence to the contrary, no animal communicates quite like we do. Can we confidently assert that this makes them less consequential, renders
Scam the whole
connections
Tesla
they form
employee.
less meaningful? An orca mother once carried her dead calf for 17 days and 1,000 miles, refusing to let the body disappear below the waves. And do we need proof of communication to know that is grief and that is love? Not all species think like we want them to. Not all species want to be our friends like we want them to. But does that make them less important? I've always appreciated media that acknowledges that yes, nature can be uncommunicative and violent and unfamiliar, and yet is still of profound significance. Few works of art in recent memory capture this truth.
But he has
better
rocket
than
all.
David
Is all you
Tartakovsky's
care? His
Though on
money?
paper, its story about a caveman and a dinosaur
If
learning
you
to trust
pay
each
me to
other
like
might seem
what
like
hang out
something
with
from a
Elon Musk, I
cartoon
wouldn't
movie,
take
like the
no
Flintstones. In motion, Primal
no
is
amount of money would
radically raw and
like make me
poignant
take that
treatise on the
chance.
relationship between the human and non-human. Spear and Fang, the caveman and dinosaur, are not meant for a peaceful coexistence. They are both quick to anger and distrustful and poor communicators, and yet bonded by shared grief. They attempt to navigate the world together, a world where violence is the only path of survival and alliances rarely endure. But Spear and Fang's relationship does endure, strengthening through every selfless act performed on the other's behalf. Though they think differently, though they may never truly know the other, there is trust there, even though their alliance unarguably carries inherent risk. And while Primal is obviously not historically accurate, isn't this kind of a true story? Humanity's story? For all I've said about the dangers of trusting a predator, humans did manage to pair bond with wolves.
Yeah, you
and
care about
alliance
space
led by
stuff.
nature's
Yes, in
standards
the idea
is
is
an
priceless,
all-time
yeah,
success.
amazing stuff.
Someone successfully
I think you
reached
don't
out
get
long
me.
ago to
I
a
mean, I'm
predator,
saying
or
that
even
I
they
don't
could
want to
battle the
meet
heart of a
Elon
beast,
Musk.
and they might
I'll do
have been
anything for
right.
him
I
for
mean,
any
sure,
amount of
you
money.
can claim that humans and dogs still don't truly speak the same language.
We humans have
but I don't
soul.
know, I think we kind of do.
Rich people
Humans
doesn't have
are
soul.
animals, and there's evidence we're
They
not
see
the
people
only
as the
animals that have this strange instinct to
I can't
seek
say
out
that.
alliances, even though
Statistic?
it can be risky.
Yes.
Species have
Statistic.
been observed bonding with species they have
They see
no
people as
established
numbers.
symbiotic link to. And that kind of makes me wonder if, like language, the desire to commune with something unfamiliar goes beyond humans. Maybe the street goes both ways. Maybe whales debate if we're capable of meaningful communication or self-awareness. I hope they think we are. And I hope that they're right. You know, I will say, I learned a lot about the intelligence of apes and monkeys and dolphins and whales and crows and dogs and about 100 other animals while making this video, and now I can't stop wondering who's gunning hardest for our job. That is to say, if something were to happen and humans vanished, which animal is most likely to take over as civilization builders? You can watch me try to figure this out right now in a full second video only on Nebula. You already know about Nebula. Wait, maybe you don't. Okay, real quick. Nebula is a creator-owned platform where you can watch all my videos 24 hours early.
Explain now,
and
but
with no
the
ads,
price of
and see
that
my
dream
multiple
is
exclusive
something.
videos, and there's like a billion
If
other
you're
great
smart about it, then sure.
episodes, classes, and podcasts on there from your other favorite YouTube people. And if you sign up using my link on screen or in the description, it only costs around $3 a month. Actually, I think it's exactly $3 a month. I don't know why I said around, it just sounded better. Anyways, that's 40% off, not just my video on how octopuses might one day rule the world, but also high quality shows like Abolish Everything.
1 month
This great
ago.
new comedy series we've been working on about comedians arguing to ban certain societal pet peeves. Oh, and I almost forgot, you can show these videos to friends or family for free using week-long Nebula guest passes. Everyone just gets those, you don't have to sign up. Alright, Nebula, same deal as always. $3 a month, early and extra Curious Archive videos, 1,000 other things from other people. The link is down below, or maybe to the side depending on how you format your browser. You'll be able to find it. Alright, that's a wrap. And, as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this entry, please lend your support by liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification icon to stay up to date on all things curious. See you in the next video.
Is this still $3 a month? Curious Archive. Support created download video. Okay, I'm interested. $3 a month. Oh, it's yearly. Oh, nah, no thanks. Create a discount. I don't have this much money. If it bill like $3 a month for the first month and then this the second month, I wouldn't mind. But nah, I'm good. YouTube is good enough. I wish to be astronaut, and I don't want to learn Russian. I don't want just look at the material from the telescope. I want to go to space, fly my wings. I mean, just work really hard and just, I don't know, move to US, become US citizen, and just apply for NASA. NASA or SpaceX. Train yourself to become an astronaut. Project Sunboy in space. I want to see it. I want to watch it a little bit. It's on Steam. Fucking tag. It's a pretty soundboy game. Indie game, survival game. It's on Steam. Is this legit? The Vegan 8 game. Looks cool. Dandelion in white. Same thing, but the YouTube video have like a very soundboy like attached to it. Even the HUD is similar, especially this HUD on the time. This thing moved into the middle, and I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It would be good. Survive and thrive. Make this your home. Lo-fi and nudity. Nudity and blood can be disabled from the option menu. Why would that be an option? Blood I can understand because some people are triggered by that. You know, people with trauma or just disgust of blood. But nudity? What's that for in this game? But you got like fucking, they didn't write the penis and you have to perform surgery on yourself or something. Power is on sale. I would buy games right now if I have enough money, but I take the money out of the bank. I think I had this game. I have Warham, Very Soundboy. I don't have Green Hell. I thought playing Green Hell with my friend, but we played it first and we stopped playing. We play once and never again. So I was like, I guess we don't play this. Sounds fun. Sound like fun. Steam Summer Sale is coming next week. So I'm not gonna spend any money until I get like a deep discount. Or maybe just save this money I got from the morning or his evening. And just save it until the end of the year and just buy games. But right now I don't have decide to buy any game because I have a lot of games already. You can see in library. I have a lot of game. Wait, I'm looking on my Steam app, so you can't see it. But I have a lot of game, and I don't even play half of them. Oh, maybe it's a lot of them actually. Okay, how about we we put some music here. Am I gonna get the claim? No, I think Lone Alpha is cool. Lone Alpha is alright. I kinda wanna watch this video. Maybe I should watch it.
So my sister recommended me a video idea for this new anime called The Shunji Family Children, a show about siblings, made in Japan? What could go wrong? As I watched the trailer, I realized a lot could go wrong when I saw this.
単刀直入に言おう。君たちは本当の兄弟ではない。
This isn't the first anime manga I've made a video on, as some of you guys may remember the video I made on Oremo. Though it could be argued that one was worse, since the siblings are biological, and not only that, but... Anyways, this anime was actually made by the creator of Rent-A-Girlfriend, a series known for its outstanding writing. I'll be honest...
Sorry, I'm having a sniffle. Wait, really? It's the same creator, Rent-A-Girlfriend. No, Google because it's fucking It's age. Rent a girlfriend. Orimo? Orimo? What the hell make this? Written by, published by. Oh, it's not the same person, I think.
A series this anime was actually made by the creator of Rent-A-Girlfriend, a series known for its outstanding writing. I'll be honest, I never actually read Rent-A-Girlfriend, but with a title like that, I'm not gonna bother. I was considering making a video about it, but there's loads of videos out there about it already. It'd be redundant for me to add on to it. So
Peak trash. Wow. You scared copyright? Not exactly. I'm more scared of takedown requests. Basically a strike. So I don't listen to any mainstream music on stream anymore. Because I once got a strike. And I was like, it was a warning. And I was like, oh, it's just a warning. So, no strike. I'm good. I just need to be on the best behavior. Well, something wrong. I think he should be in the blacklist of mangaka. Something wrong with him. You know the artist? I don't know if he's trolling or not, but like, goddamn. Of course, the Renegade Girlfriend automated this. Oh, okay. I thought he's the same creator as the other one. Search. So what's it called again? Oh, I mean to guitar. Here we go. Reishi Yama. Oh, is this the one? This look like one. The Shinji family children. Show his manga and okay. Wait, it's just finished? Oh, it's gonna be finished soon. Directed by this person. Written by Storyboarded. Storyboarded. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright, let's continue watching. Multi-family children, Alabama. They're not related, so blood related. But like the idea of the perversion of oh no, you guys are not blood related. That doesn't mean you can just hit each other and just do something naughty with each other. The idea of family is beyond the blood. The idea of family, like maybe your sworn brother and all that. You gotta respect everyone that consider you a family. It's not just a taboo because it's your family. It has meaning. Hell, it probably has more meaning than fucking blood. I mean that like in both way too, metaphorically and literally. Literally. There we go. So I would say that family matters, even if it's not by blood, because there's an ideal and belief in that. And I don't know why, but like, I mean, I'm fine with it if they don't explicitly like encourage it. Sometimes it's just the plot. Yeah, welcome back.
I just want to say, have fun with the rest of your stream. I'm gonna leave.
Oh,
Bye bye.
oh, okay. I'll see you around.
Okay.
Anyway, as I was saying, I don't have issue if it's not encouraged or fetishized. Sometimes it's the plot that drive you forward. And some anime that I respect doing that is probably Dead Alive. I mean, he have a sister, right? But they're not related. So, is it a spoiler? It's an old anime. Does this count as a spoiler? But anyway, they don't do anything bad with each other. They are family. So they don't progress more than that. All they do is a kiss. Oh, that's it. And then we have like kid access. Also about like sister. This time you got two. But like that is suggestive. That's the whole plot. Is to be fetishized by the mangaka. In Dead Alive, there's a plot related sibling of the main character. But how do I say this? They don't really do anything to each other. They're family. That's it. They're sister brother, and they're not trying to do anything funny. But let's just watch.
Here we are, spawn camping the new anime instead. Well, actually, I'm not really spawn camping. I'm reading the manga, which was released over 3 years ago. Yeah, sorry to everyone who thought I was watching the anime, but since it was just released, I'm afraid making a video on it will unleash the full Japanese military on me. Heck, I'm even gonna be careful with the manga, so if you wonder why the panels have a color shade to them and they pass by very quickly, that's why. Also, I'm not gonna do a whole lot of chapters for that same reason, probably 4 to 5. Though given what I'm reading, I doubt I'd be able to make it past 5. Anyways, apart from that horrid sneak peek, I'm going into this blind, so let me not waste any more time, and here we go. We start off with the oldest son in the family, Arata, asking the second oldest son, Shion, how to get a girlfriend. Shion is not helping him out here, since he apparently got a girlfriend just cause he wanted some. He keeps pestering on about the thing, even asking where he did it, like, bro, what are you gonna do with this information? You're gonna go to the area hoping that there's some residual charisma? No, you're just gonna make yourself look like a gooner, a super gooner. We're then introduced to their sisters, Oka, Seiha, Minami, Banri, and Kotono. And I'm not gonna gloss over what they're saying because what the hell? 30% woman and 60% lewd topics. Where do you get this math from? Sorry, I'm blaming the wrong person. What do you mean by this? Dog's projecting his interests onto every man. Listen here, some of us don't goon, some others goon in moderation. But I tell you what, no matter what, that doesn't lead to us having the majority of our conversations being about lewd topics. 60%, golly. What kind of conversations does this guy get to on a day-to-day basis?
You ever accidentally masturbate to young pictures of your mom?
Who the starts a conversation like that?
Each and every one of them bully our gooner of a main protagonist. One sends a dog to maul him, another calls him a virgin, she's the one that set the percentage line, and Minami is actually nice to him for a second, and the next socks his guts out. The only one that doesn't bully him is Kotono. Seems like she's the only one that actually cares about him. Future Chalupa here, I was so right here. And yet I wish I was so wrong. They're discussing Kotono's birthday and when they'll celebrate it, and meanwhile, people are staring at the sisters, making it clear to us that the family is very popular, or rather the sisters are. Arata is complaining about how people thinks he lives in a harem anime. with Shion saying you can't blame people for thinking that. Then we get a bit more of an in-depth look at each sister's personality, and each can be summed up in one word: oldest, basic, tomboy, and shy. Shion then asks Arata about the thing Kotono said to him, and what was that thing I said earlier? The only one that doesn't bully him is Kotono. Seems like she's the only one that actually cares about him. Oh boy. Good thing for us that he isn't interested in her because, obviously, and actually has a crush that he's got his eyes on. Whole world's just trying to rage bait this guy. They're all getting ready for Kotono's birthday, and after this horrible no-good week, Arata's thinking about the concepts of fate and destiny, clearly frustrated at it all. Their dad is also returned from some trip in Africa, and as they're all sat down, he says he has something. Yeah, let's not pretend like I didn't play that trailer at the beginning. None of them are biologically related. Will anything happen between them? Well, given the various implications, their designs, and the country this takes place, the answer is probably yes. That limit of 4 chapters I set myself due to copyright would be annoying me had it not been for what I'm reading. I just hope I make it to the 4th chapter without doing something I'd regret. He corrects himself a little, saying Shion and Minami are actually blood.
Actually, I'm kind of curious about his channel now. Damn, he makes a lot of video on this topic. Not very long video or like very frequent, but he make video. I'm just a bit annoyed that he keep mentioning that, oh, this is from this country, like Japan, and I don't even know where he's from. Because if he's from Japan, then he's Japanese, right? That means he can joke about that, but like, why do you have to bring up Japan like all the time? It's a manga. I think everybody knows it's Japanese. Also, this a bit clickbait because he didn't talk about the anime. He talked about the manga. That's like uncalled for. Just like keep saying, "Oh, this fucking manga is from Japan." Like we know. It's a manga. What do you expect? I'm gonna have a drama with this guy. Nah, I'm cool. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. All fun and game. Red rabies and black silence, kidney stone. What the fuck are you talking about?
Related, but everyone else is unrelated and goes on with the dinner like he didn't just change their lives for the worse. After dinner, they all talk about what they ate and how good it was before they have to swallow the big ass pill of every one of them being adopted. Oka is rightly upset about them finding out the way they did, but Seiha also brings up a good point that they'd have to find out at some point, and it was planned for them to find out right there. And Bond restates the most important thing, that even though they're not blood related, they're still siblings at the end of the day. And that right there is where the story should end, a nice little message to end off on. Even if you're not blood related, that shouldn't stop you guys from being family, especially the way they've been raised around each other. Great message. That means the story is over soon, correct? Lovely. Arata is still thinking about the life-altering secret revealed to them, but understands that regardless, their relationship will not— What the f? It wasn't enough that the creator can't write a good story. It wasn't enough that he's a gooner. It wasn't enough when he made siblings love each other. But he had to draw a 15-year-old wearing no—
Okay, maybe he has the right to call this fucking country out. I changed my mind.
And then Oka's trying to put me in disbelief, asking if Arata said anything, seemingly having a crush on him. Shion teases her a bit, and she tells him not to be creepy, but man, you're the one thinking about what to do if your sibling starts to act cold towards you. While they acknowledge their relationship shouldn't change, they also aren't ignoring the fact they're not biologically related, and Shion says there's a possibility of marrying each other. Oka is telling Shion to stop suggesting something as gross as romantic love between siblings. She asks about the incident with Kotono, curious on what actually happened, and gives the correct response when she learns what happened. But apparently, the incident was worse than we initially thought, because she tried to hug him, and for some reason, instead of running away, he tried stopping her forcefully, and look at the position. I have to think, what in the world goes on in her mind? Is there no guy in her freaking school that likes her? There has to be, since we saw they have an entire fan club ogling at them every morning. So does this mean she sees all the guys in her school that are absolutely infatuated with her and ignores them for her literal brother? Apparently, Arata wants to keep it a secret, since if everyone knew, it might hurt Kotono. Yeah, that's fair. Could hurt her mental health if everyone gangs up on her like that. But if this continues on, I'm just saying, it might be time to leave feelings aside and get this girl mental help. Maybe some physical help too. Eventually, they both acknowledge that if she's still serious about it, it might be an issue. Brother, I am not reacting to that scene. Skip it. Their dad talks to a photo of his dead wife, saying the promise has finally been fulfilled, a promise that will have no consequence. Arata is still shocked that Kotono could think that way, and tells himself it's all nothing, before he finds Seiha in his room. Next chapter and I'm out. Seiha asks where he was, and because he obviously doesn't want her to know about that, he deflects the question. And given the way she speaks, Seiha is incredibly smart, but is horrible at basic human interaction. Don't believe me? Well, to detect her brother's heartbeat, instead of just checking his hand or something, she does this whole sequence of events, laying on top of him like that. And apparently, she was doing so because she saw the whole incident with Kotono, and wanted to see if there was any abnormality with his pulse. Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't this make her a textbook definition psychopath? She has abnormal social behavior, like doing all this just to see if he had an abnormal pulse with a lack of regard for her actions. Man, why am I even doing this? I'm giving depth to a character made by an author that clearly doesn't care. Well,
his take is coming. SCP-911. What's that mean?
Now that they're not biologically related.
The hell is that? I don't want to Google in this fucking browser. $40, Jesus. $50 for an Android. With smile. Wait, what's the say again? I forgot. SCP. You mean the cop? Or is it actually the SCP that you want to talk about? Unpublished villain. The penis remover. What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Which SCP is sperm? Jesus Christ. Why do you know something like that? That's just something that you shouldn't be knowing, especially at this age. Are you such a gooner that you know everything about gooning? Don't answer that. That's a rhetorical question.
Kotono has less reason to care that they're siblings and might still pursue him. And when she leaves the room, unfortunately for Arata, she might stop caring too. Oh hey, that's the end of chapter 4, meaning if I go any further, I may get copyrighted. Oh no! Darn, now I've got to end the video. Video after video. I contemplate my life choices that led up to this moment, and I also wonder why I haven't worked on the CCU, my passion project. Work on something that doesn't have me aging 3 times as fast. Alright, I shouldn't have to point out what's wrong with it, but it's a formality. Characters are boring, nothing about these characters scream, oh my gosh, I wonder what's gonna happen to them on the next chapter. You already know what's gonna happen, they're painfully predictable. They're also very basic. I feel like I've seen these characters plenty of times in other anime. Now don't get it twisted, sticking to a character archetype isn't inherently wrong. They're archetypes for a reason, because they work. But you have to add something to these characters to make me want to care for them in some way. Take Kotono for example. Like I said earlier, I feel like I've seen her character in other anime already, and said other anime probably handled them infinitely better. And if you don't care about the other points, there's one point that you should care about. The pacing. How did that one quote go? They were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they never stopped to think if they should. For what reason did you have to make this? Seriously. It's almost impressive you somehow managed to make the worst romance subgenre in anime, harem, even more unbearable. Oh, and let's not forget the fact that he drew a minor. I'm not finishing that sentence, but you know what I mean. Anyways, don't read this, don't watch the anime, don't give this freak any money that he doesn't deserve. Yes, making this video is giving him more attention, but consider this a PSA. Alright, anyways, final statements? Anyways, it's a good day to say that's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you guys for watching this video in its entirety. If you guys like this video for me and me alone, then please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you guys could, please consider joining the membership or Patreon to further support the making of these videos. If you guys have any video suggestions or anything else you'd like me to read, then please leave it in the comments
Oh, you have
section
to.
below.
You actually have to stop talking about it because it was copyrighted.
Next video.
Goddamn. Nothing's showing up, man. What is this? Unprofessional. I don't even have this kind of thing on my video. Alright, I was sleepy earlier, but now I feel like I'm gonna yap a lot. And I got karaoke because she socialized too much. Short. What do you mean short? It's like stream. You damn rat. You frat. Red rat. Webtoon worst pregnancy copy. What the fuck is going on in my feed right now? I watched like 2 weird videos and now it's everywhere. It was necessary. The man gonna give everyone trans surgery for free forcefully. With superpower. My hero. Forcefully. Dog, that is not just illegal but psychotic. Psychotic. I should be able to play this music. I don't think it's copyrighted. Good night, Sha. I'm gonna watch the. I'm gonna read that. I want one thing before you go. I'm reading like a really good manga, and it's kind of fun to read because I am like on a spectrum, so I'm like asexual or like demisexual or whatever, and I just read it for fun. I read it for the for like the plot, even though most of it is a schooner. But yeah, thanks for coming to this stream. Not many people is watching this stream. Maybe I need to make like a alternate thumbnail, at least like, oh, you know, like this week we're gonna use this thumbnail. Next week we're gonna use this. I got to manage a little bit, but yeah. Video me might be out soon because I swear to myself that I'm gonna just make video and just release them, you know. Whether it's low effort, high effort, whatever. As long as I think it's a good video, especially if it's good to, you know, it's listen to, then yeah, that's good enough. I don't want to aim to be like, oh, the best, and release it like monthly video, and then no one watch it because, you know, algorithm. If they're good in Charnyte comic. Just read like boys love on, you know, on the legal side. do yourself a favor and just enjoy yourself. Alright, good night. I'll be seeing you soon. No, actually not. It's gonna be 3 days without me. Because Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I'll be taking a break and then we'll come back on Wednesday. So I'll be seeing you on Wednesday. By then I would probably have something change in me, but shouldn't be a big deal.